Morning, everyone. It's October the 20th, 2023. Sorry, having just one of those senior moments again. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an update today to start with. And if you haven't heard already, about 3 days ago we had another shooting in the Byward Market down here. Someone was injured, but we haven't had any major details on what actually occurred. But it's still frightening because, again, where the shooting occurred is one of the ways I walk down into the market area. So, broad daylight, it could have been me, could have been Heidi with me. It's still kind of scary to think that this is happening. But the good news is that I've talked often about the community policing coming down here and them setting up a community a station down here. And now that was finally announced yesterday that it's fully in the works. It looks like we're going to have it. They're deciding on a place to put it in one of the old stores in Rideau Center, which is going to be very good, I think, for all of us to have our community officers based there at Rideau. It's going to be, I think, good for us. It's certainly, as our mayor said, it's only one part of the solution for certain to all the homeless and what's going on down here. But I'm hoping, and I know a lot of us with the shopkeepers and the residents down here hope this will be a step towards, just a step, but a step towards maybe helping to settle the area down a bit more. And then, of course, one of the reasons is because we have supposedly the second highest crime rate here in Ottawa is down here in the lower town. But I'm sure that if everything that goes unreported was reported, we might actually hit number one. So this is one of the advantages of having a little community station down here, would be that we're hoping that more of the stuff that's unreported gets reported and people can just walk in and report it. So that's been the update there. So that's really good. And I love hearing from my viewers, and I got an interesting comment about from my video on Who Wants to Live there, and it was interesting because I was trying to explain so much as being diabetic. Can you imagine all the people who are diabetic just throwing all their needles and their little tips for their needles and everything all over the streets? It's like all the paraphernalia from the addicts are being thrown all over the streets. What a mess we'd have. And her comment to that was kind of interesting. It says, well, don't forget, since the pandemic, now it's the face masks everywhere you go. People are dropping their face masks all over public washrooms, the buses, everywhere. Now we're starting to see these face masks showing up on the streets too. So, but then I was thinking, wow, that kind of brings me back to my childhood and brings me back to some of the bullying that I remember in my childhood. And, the city has been kind enough to put garbage cans out, but they're much different from the old, just the one thing that you put in the garbage can. Everything goes in the garbage can. Today we have the recyclable garbage cans as well. And they put them all over the streets, and hopefully that will all the junk will hit in the proper slot in the garbage cans today. But people prefer to turn around and throw everything on the street still. So that's not good, And then, of course, I know we're running out of room at the landfill. And so is that the solution? We just forget about the landfill and throw everything on the streets? I don't think that's a good solution either. And this is one of the reasons why I mentioned that even if we put the sharp containers in, say, the bathrooms, the shelters and stuff, I don't think they're going to use them because they just don't care. And as I said, with the needle boxes that we were so dead against back in 1996 and around that time period, they never used them. They were too lazy just to go and walk up and dispose their needles, a lot of them, in the needle boxes. So that didn't work either. But I remember the bullying when I was a child, and one of the favorite ones was gum. Oh my goodness. Do I remember the gum when I was young? And that was all over the place. People chewed gum everywhere they went. It was a big thing back then in those days. You were cool if you chewed gum. Well, we had gum in the schools. It stuck to the lockers, stuck to the bottom of the desks. We'd be walking down the street. We'd get gum stuck on the bottom of our shoe. We'd be trying to move and lifting up our foot with gum, and that was nice to get stuck to. So we had a problem with the gum back then, just like we're having trouble today with the needles and everything else today that's ending up on the street. But that was one of the big things, and like even back then, I remember you don't litter, and you could get fined for being littering when I was a child. So we learned not to litter back then. And then the other part of the bullying that I remember, which was interesting enough, was the old school inkwells. I can still remember up to about grade 4 when you have to dip the pen in the inkwell, and that's how I learned to write at the beginning as a child, was the old-fashioned inkwells. You had the inkwell there, you had your pen, and you had to dip the pen in, get some ink on, and then as you ran out of ink, you had to dip it in and get more ink. And of course, that could be messy. And then in about grade 5, the first of the original ballpoint pens came out, but they weren't like what we see today. It was pens that we actually had ink cartridges that we had to put in the pen, rather than the refills that we have in the ballpoint pens today. And that could get quite messy. So I remember one of the things that they used to do, the kids, if you had pigtails, for example, those nice long pigtails, they get dumped in an inkwell. And if mom wasn't cleaning out the gum when they decided to stick the gum in your hair or stick your pigtails in the inkwell, it was a mess back then. That was one of the usual things for bullying back then. So I just wanted to sort of brief you up on that. And then I know I wanted to, that 3-part one that I put up on bullying can lead to tragedy there, that took 20 years. And that's my personal story of my personal life. It took 20 years for a tragic shooting to happen. And it's just partial story. I put up some of the things that happened to me and with my my second husband at the time, and how that led to a shooting. So that wasn't very pleasant for me to have to go through. Not to mention the diabetes and all the things that I have to go through, the 20 years of domestic abuse that I went through. My body's failing me, but I don't complain. I'm happy today. And I feel like I'm blessed because I have good friends around me, people who do care about me today. And that in itself is just a blessing. And of course, Heidi's there. I don't have any trouble. She just cares for me. She just loves me to pieces. So, she's always there for me. And that's unconditional love. And I'll take that unconditional love today. So I really feel blessed. And I don't really complain because I just keep plugging away, and I'm determined that I'm going to be independent as long as possible. And Heidi's just one of the ways I'm doing it. And if I need friends to help me, they're always willing to help. And that's the blessing that I have today. And I didn't have that years ago. So that, and having good friends around, that's one of the blessings that people can certainly really, really come together on. And not everybody has that. And Julie says she's blessed to have me and some of my friends as her friends right now. So there's really blessings. And there's a lot of good out there that's still there. It's just sometimes you have to look a lot harder for it because there's so much bad things out there today. But I feel very blessed. I'm so glad that people are enjoying my videos. And I hope you get other people onto my videos too, so more people can see what's actually going on. But I just wanted to give you a brief update today. And everyone, take care, and I shall be back soon to talk about more. And have a nice day, be safe, and be blessed, everyone. And have a good long life. Bye-bye. Take care.